Congress is saying, or the opposition is saying, the jet engine technology is old tech. It's not. It's redundant tech, and that the WTO or perhaps some of the engagements have happened, like Washington Apple's import duty reduced by 20%. It's going to directly impact growers closer home. So there has been a huge compromise that's been made.
Well, I think Angoor Khatte Hain. The Congress only continues to display its lack of understanding and a complete inability to understand even basic commerce and economics. Surprisingly, some of those comments came from erstwhile commerce ministers, which shocks me even more. The rate of duty on apples continues to remain the same, what it always was. In fact, we have recently introduced a minimum import price to ensure that the apples that come into the country, along with the rate of duty, import duty that's charged on it, will always ensure that our farmers get a very fair price and a good deal. The United States of America had put in certain additional duties on steel and aluminium, which India exported to the US. We had retaliated with certain additional duties on our end, on products which are coming in from the US. So that was an additional duty which did not impact our imports. It only substituted imports from the US with imports from some other country. So our aggregate imports didn't change. The US lost market share, some other country gained it. But the protection to our farmers remained the same. When the US agreed to ensure that our steel and aluminium imports into the US, so exports from India will be allowed without that additional duty which they had imposed on steel and aluminium, logically we have to reduce the retaliatory duty to a corresponding extent. So this was an additional duty, didn't impact our imports at all, just substituted from one country to the other. They removed the additional duties, which means our steel and aluminium will get greater market access in the US. We removed the additional duties, which will give them a chance to get back their market share, possibly substituting what started coming from Turkey. Now, I'm sure I'd rather have an apple from America than I'd have an apple from Turkey. And so would 140 crore Indians, sans the few ignorant Congress leaders.
But WTO, Prime Minister mentioned that a lot of issues, thorny issues of the WTO have also been ironed out. Tell us about that, because that was one breaking point. It proved to be a lot of agreements that could have been signed. They just insertions in the clauses. I can talk about it because I was there in Geneva when you were hammering that out. So now where do things stand?
Well, I think India has shown to the world that we can be a trusted partner, that rather than fight on legal matters, dialogue and diplomacy can help resolve issues much better. This has been Prime Minister Modi's consistent stand, be it trade issues or even geopolitical issues like the Russia-Ukraine conflict. He has once again proved his ability to negotiate a good deal for the country, to be able to navigate very, very difficult areas of trade and commerce so that there can be a win-win solution for both countries. There were certain thorny issues which were pending for decades. For example, there are cases against Indian steel exports to the US, which have now been done away with. Similarly, there were fights between both countries on renewable energy programs. We had cases against their programs, they had cases against our programs. We've been able to bilaterally close all of them in the interest of sustainability and promotion of clean energy, renewable energy, which I think is the collective effort across the world, something that everybody should be happy and proud about. They had filed cases and won. We had lost in the WTO on the several export incentives and export promotion measures that India had adopted over the years. The United States has agreed to drop that case also. So there are wins on both sides. The US gains some, India gains some. They had won 3 cases, we had won 3 cases. By bilaterally settling them, We have written a new chapter in world history, particularly world economics and world commerce, which will be quoted and will resonate for, I think, several decades in the future.
So does India get a